welcome to the Oxygenaddict Triathlon Podcast. We're brought to you every week by our sponsors, PrecisionHydration.com, who offer electrolyte drinks in different strengths to match how you sweat. You can personalize your hydration strategy today at PrecisionHydration.com, and you can get a free box or tube of pH worth up to $9.99 using the code Oxygenaddict. We're also brought to you by Foodsell.co.uk, who make the next generation of top tube nutritional carriers for your bike. They're designed to allow endurance triathletes and cyclists to carry enough food and gels while allowing easy access while you're riding. You can use the code FREEPOST for free delivery worldwide. You can check them out at foodsell.co.uk. And we're also brought to you by TeamOxygenaddict.com Triathlon Coaching. We've been helping hundreds of age group triathletes to see huge improvements in their 70.3 and triathlon performances. Pop over to TeamOxygenaddict.com and read more about that. All right, everybody, welcome to the show. I've got an absolute corker for you today. Just me flying solo because Hells is away at the moment. So this week I've been and recorded an extra special hour-long bike fit special with British time trialling legend and turning into super coach to triathletes, Matt Bottrill. Now, Matt's worked wonders with the bike position and the bike speed of triathletes like Lucy Charles, Will Clarke, Susie Cheetham, Matt Hanson, Tim Don. All the super fast cyclists in the world have worked with Matt, and having been down to visit him in his studio, it's not hard to see how people end up going super fast after working with him. He's recently positioned the Lotto Soudal rider Victor Campenaerts for his successful attempt on the hour record. Now, it's always been something I really wanted to do, to go down and see Matt in his bike fit studio in Leicestershire. And the question on my mind was always, like, how on earth do people go so fast on the bike? Is it that they are super, super fit, or is there more to it? And the answer is, well, yes, they are super fit, but there is definitely more to it than just fitness. So I've got an hour here picking Matt's brains. We talk about all the things you can do to go faster outside of training. So things like the clothing that you wear, body position, helmet choice, head position as you're riding at different times of different wind directions, even your hand position, and then some specific drills Matt gives his athletes to help you actually learn to hold that new bike position. So guess what? Just like we do drills in the pool, Matt also has his athletes do drills to help them hold that very aggressive aero position. And as we find out, these things have a massive effect on how fast your power will let you go. It's much more so than most athletes realize. And if you are at the moment having some decent results and you've never thought about your position or what you do with your head as you're riding, this podcast could be the key to unlocking some serious free speed that you're giving away. It does take some time to adjust to this position, about 6 to 8 weeks, but once you do get there, you're going to be going much faster simply because of your equipment choices and your body position rather than just the training that you're doing. So I went down with a mate of mine. We visited Matt. We both had bike fits done. I've got to say, I've been in the business a long time and I thought I knew my stuff with bike fit and position, but I was horrified when I saw the before position of me on the bike, and I was staggered when I saw the after position that Matt got me into. Not a huge amount of changes that he made. They were very subtle, I felt, but the difference it made to my position on the bike, and more importantly, the amazing difference it's made to the speed that I'm getting after the bike fit was just incredible. So, like I said, we've got an hour-long interview with Matt here. I get to pick his brains on all of these things. If you want to go down and visit Matt in his bike fit studio, or you want to find out about coaching, you can go over and you can visit Matt's website. I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes. And yeah, here we go. We've got an hour-long special with Matt Bottrill. Matt Bottrill, welcome very much back to the show. It's lovely to have you back on. It's funny chatting to you because we were standing side by side drinking coffee with sore legs at the Outlaw Half yesterday. So how are you feeling firstly after your pretty monumental effort on the bike in your relay team?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me back, Rob. Yeah, it's always good to touch base. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty battered, to be honest.
I'm so good to hear that.
Yeah.
So glad.
It was a long day, obviously you get up early, you get out there, you go and do your ride, and then I've got to support the athletes that we had out there. So, I'm brain frozen today, for sure.
It cracks me up. You're saying to me beforehand, like, "Oh, I'm not in shape. I don't feel like I've really got the power I used to have." And then you went out and rode. What was it, like 2:05:50 or something for the Outlaw Half?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I suppose you've always just related to where you know that you used to be. Do you know what I mean? And I know that sounds quite arrogant, saying, "Oh well, I could go a lot faster," but I've lost a lot. Do you know what I mean? In this last 4 or 5 years. So, but you always do it. We all do it, don't we? We compare to where we used to be. But I was, well, I was really happy. My aim was to ride 2:05 for the team, and I did 2:05:54. But what was more awesome was seeing Will ride 2:07. That was phenomenal. So I was able to bloody catch him as well. So
well, it's dead funny, man, because me and my buddies, we rode out up and joined the course at it's like a T-shaped course, isn't it? And we were at the joint of the T, and we were watching age groupers come one way and then waiting for the pro race to come in the other direction. And Will came zooming by, and we put a split on him. And we were going, "Oh, Matt should be here any minute," because your swimmer was pretty handy. You weren't far behind, were you? Out the water?
Yeah, I think we was about 5 minutes, and then there was another 2 minutes. Like they got a head start.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I want to call him anyway.
But let's talk about Will. What an amazing performance that was. He looked so smooth coming by on the bike. He looked like, when someone's going really fast, but they look really comfortable, and it means they don't look like they're going fast. He was just tapping a rhythm out and zoomed by.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a long process with Will. We've been working together now. 18 months?
Yeah.
And Will's actually buying into this aero lark, which is really good, but it hasn't been easy. He'll be the first to admit that. One of the biggest things that we had, one of the troubles I've always had with Will was trying to get him comfortable on the saddle. So we addressed that issue. But, it's quite hard when you've got different sponsorship deals. You've got to ride different saddles. And then this winter we did we made some big changes to his aerodynamics. We took him to the wind tunnel with Jamie Pringle. And, his transformation has then been able to relate that onto the road. Because Will's, on paper, I'm not going to lie, Will's physiology is probably one of the best in the world. And, now we're getting him to believe in that, and he can see the speed that he's able to travel at. And that's what, I've been trying to drill into him for all this time. It's not just about power. It's about how we use the power, how we pace, and how we use the position on the bike. And, we've had some fun with it. My drill now, we have what we call Aero Monday, and he has to do his aero drills every Monday. And I'm not going to lie, he went to the wind tunnel and he's seen, the drag drop dramatically. And I was like, right, we've got this drag number now, but you've got to do the training. You've got to do the drills to enable you to hold that. And he's done them. And Aero Monday. So that's his Monday session. So it's good. I was really proud of Will yesterday. It was a nice confidence boost for him. And phenomenal, to be at the side of the road. Shouting, at the finish, shouting him on, good day.
As well as him obviously having loads of power and being super aerodynamic, he looked really comfortable on the run. I think he ran 1:16, and there's no question he could have gone faster. He just looked like he was just out for a Sunday stroll, didn't he? He was super comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'd worked it out going into the race. Like, I knew he was going to ride around 2:10. I always profile the course, and we look at, we download we use Best Bike Split. That's one of the biggest things I use. And I was like, mate, you do X amount of power, you're going to do this time. But my deal was, I just said, look, you've got Brazil next week. If you come off the bike and you're up on Threlfall's run, the split, do not hammer yourself on the run.
Yeah.
So even 1:16 was faster than what we'd agreed. So the plan was 1:18. So, but he was cruising yesterday, and it was a good confidence boost for him. We had Texas. He did that phenomenal bike. Didn't quite go how we wanted on the run. So I was like, mate, let's do Outlaw Half, get a bit of confidence. Yeah. And then we decided to do Brazil.
Yeah, it is so much of a confidence game, isn't it? Even at the very top with the pros, and watching Will go at Texas, he had a phenomenal swim and bike and looked like he was going well for the first 10K of the run. And then was it almost like, do you think he didn't quite even believe he could go that fast?
I think, it was kind of, I almost like I knew how well Will was going into that race. And this is the biggest thing, like, I monitor it, and I'm always saying, look, this is the point you're at. This is the time I believe that you can ride. And I think for Will, because he'd made this transformation in aero, he didn't believe how he was cycling. And it's a different race, like you go and ride 112 miles by yourself. Mentally, that is so different to, like the guys riding in the pack. And he was saying I was freewheeling at points and they weren't catching me. But I was like, well, you didn't freewheel that much, else they would have caught you. But I just think, mentally, I think that he came off the bike, he expended, I wouldn't say that he expended more energy. Like the intensity that he rode at was what we expected, but it was mentally, I don't think he believed what he'd done. And I do believe that, he was going into that race to try and win, to try and podium. And after 10K, it wasn't looking that way. So, but that's the biggest thing, like how the dynamics of racing for the pros is with all these new regulations. You've got to make a call at some point. So you're better off saying, well, if I'm not going to get that qualification or I'm not going to win this race, then I need to pick the next one. Because, we all know, whether it's an age group or a professional, that they do that run and it's going to dramatically take, it could take a week, 2 weeks to recover from. Where if you do like a bike, swimming a bike, then, it's like a big training day.
Yeah.
So
it must be really hard to be sort of where he was in that gap between, was it Andy Starkovitz that was out in front and then he was in front of all the rest of them, and he might have been thinking like he was a bit kind of in no man's land. And I'd imagine 4 hours like that on your own, having doubts in your head about, should I slow down, should I keep on going, how far, I can't believe I'm this fast. It must really mess with your head, mustn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But that's the art of becoming an Uber time trialist, isn't it? You've got to, that's like Starkey did the same thing, still ran well. For Will, he's come from this ITU background, and then he's doing something that he's never done before. So subconsciously, that's a different place that you've never been to. So, he was in no man's land. But I going into Brazil, if he gets in that situation again, he's got to ride it and he's going to run.
It's like having seen how well he went at the Outlaw Half. We recorded this morning. I said to Helen, "God help anybody who's got to race Will at Ironman Brazil. The form that he's in."
It's good, I so believe in Will. It's great. He's on my doorstep. I get to see him a hell of a lot. So I'm excited for this weekend, and obviously working with, I work with Tim Don, and I know that course really well. So that's what I was doing before I met you, actually. I profiled it. I know the time it can ride. I'm not going to say what that time is. But,
go on, let's
I'll tell you off air.
But
it's going to be a good race, and he'll get some confidence from Outlaw.
Well, obviously, Will, he's got the pedigree in the swim already. Superb swimmer, turned into an amazing time trialist. He's always been an exceptionally good runner, and he's run down in the low 240s. Do you think that, maybe not this race, but do you think that breaking Tim's time overall could be on at some point in the future?
I do believe that he could go faster. He's got the physiology to be able to do that. But we've got to get the race and the right conditions. It's obviously like the record then went to Matt Hanson, but who I also coach.
You also coach, yeah.
It's a
bit of a conflict of interest for you now, isn't it? Every time another fast guy comes along, it's like, I'm beating one of my own athletes' records.
Actually, I've got to admit, I struggle to believe it myself, but I don't know. He just won. I don't know. It doesn't matter if it's professional or an age group that we're working with. Your mentality is the same. That you just want them to succeed. I just look at them as an individual and say, right, if you do X, Y, and Z, then you're going to hopefully get this result. And it's a working process, like for anybody that's like doing this sport, that you've just got to work on your weaknesses. And it's not always training, it's like mentally, or it might be an equipment change, or it's all these little bits where in triathlon there's so many marginal gains that you can find. You just got to find out, work on your weaknesses, and we all know that consistency is key. That's
one thing that I really love that you've brought to triathlon bike coaching is an approach of going, well, do you know what? There's more to this than just getting really fit on the bike and riding to your numbers. There's, the first time we met and you had a bit of a swim and stuff, afterwards you said to me, I get it. Like, swimming is just like time trialing. And I was like, what are you on about? And you started talking about how, I can feel the water on my shoulders. My shoulders are a different size because I've been doing all this swimming. And it's affecting my aerodynamics. And I'd never heard a cyclist talk before about feeling the wind on their body in the same way that I've heard hundreds of swimmers talk about feeling the water on their body. But that was like a breakthrough moment for me for thinking, there's something to this. Like, Matt feels how the wind goes across his body and moves his shoulders and neck and stuff around. So let's go back to the thing you were talking about with Will, with your Aero Drill Monday. That's something massive, isn't it, that triathletes can do to turn themselves into better time trialists?
And this is what, like, the art of Aero Monday, whatever day it is, like aero drills. It's the same as, like we all do drills in swimming. Like, you'll do your school drill, you'll do doggy paddle, you'll do I don't know. There's a million and one drills, isn't there, out there? But what are those working on? They're working on technique, and you feel the water. I'm quite fortunate that, I've done this since I was 12. I'm now, so that's 42 this year. 30 years of cycling. That I can feel the wind, and that comes from like being in the wind tunnel, being out on the road. But I learned that because I never had the biggest engine, but I wanted to go faster, and I was like, well, how do I get quicker? Then it was a matter of improving my aero. And once I was able to get to this point and I could feel it, through shoulders and hands and head, then I was able to bring that into my racing. And it's easy to feel the wind. It's like somebody, you've got a blockhead wind, stick your head up, lower it, you'll feel it. And you've got to, and it's getting those sensations. It's the same as, you can almost like be on your tops, go on to your drops, and drop your head a little bit, and you'll see the speed increase. If it's on a flat section of road going downhill, you'll build that momentum. I can feel it a bit better than that, but it's just from years and years of experience. I learn visually, so that's what I've been able to bring into probably triathlon. That probably, I don't know anybody else at the minute that's kind of doing that. I might be wrong, but and obviously, it's like any sport. It's going to evolve. People are going to pick up on this stuff, and times are only going to get quicker. Especially on the bike section. But ultimately, that translates into run time as well, and that's the biggest thing that I've been able to see with the athletes. World class level, or amateurs. That it's not necessarily that we find them more power all the time. We save them more energy. And that translates into faster run times. I
was going to say, it's really funny because before I knew you very well, me and my mate used to look at photographs of you time trialing, and then the guys you coach time trialing. We used to have the standing joke that, like, maybe Matt's actually going and entering all these events himself and going under different names and like... And he's winning all these events, but it's actually him, because all of your athletes look like you on the bike. They're all, like, loads of them are on the same bike, loads of them are in the same kit, the same helmet, the same position. And it's like, wow, that position looks really fast.
Yeah, and it is.
And it is, yeah, no question, right? Because I came down to see you for a bike fit a few weeks ago. So full disclosure to people listening, I came down and was like, all right, Matt, work your magic. The first photo we take, it looks like my grandma's out doing the shopping, and I was embarrassed looking at the photograph of it afterwards. Like I thought I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, it's triathlete position. Yeah. That's the first rule of thumb that we always say when someone comes into the unit. If they are a triathlete, they have to leave looking like a cyclist.
Well,
and it's a standing joke. So there's nothing wrong with looking like a triathlete, but it's just like a joke that we run. You've got to look. You've got to look the part. But it's no good looking the part and then you can't run off the bike. So we do account for that.
Well, the other thing is that you come in, and for any triathletes listening who consider they've got a triathlete's position, the first thing to go is there is a much faster position for you, and it's not the one that you're in, it's the one Matt's going to put you in. So afterwards, I got my after photo and looked at it, and my mate Andy said, "You look just like Matt Bottrill. He's turned you into him."
Yeah, your position was a big transformation, but it was, like with what we did with you, it wasn't like massive tweaks. It was just like you've got a decent bike, and we just adapted it to fit, and that's what people are spending all this money on bikes. But I'm just shocked that you spend all this money, whether it's age groupers or professionals, and they're not using the tool for the job. They're not using it correctly, which is surprising, because the gain, if you consider that your body is with your head, shoulders, and your whole body, that's 80% of your drag is going to come from that. So it doesn't matter what bike you buy, if you don't get that bike to fit you from a biomechanical point and an aero point, then you're almost like wasting your money. Of course, you'll go a bit quicker, but you won't see, you might find seconds, but to find minutes, you've got to reduce that drag. A lot of athletes' drags are super high. They're through the roof. It's almost like me riding on a road bike, which is, it's a bit depressing, really, when you spent all this money on a bike and then you think, well, actually, I've not optimized it.
Well, it was interesting for us. We stood at the roadside during the Outlaw Half this weekend, and we must have watched literally 1,000 athletes go by. So we had this kind of, firstly, the critical eye of just being and clapping and cheering people on. But after a while, we started saying, have you noticed how many people are doing like the 5 things that you told us during the bike fit? Almost everybody was doing some of it or all of those things completely wrong from an aerodynamics point of view. And it almost became a standing joke that we were going, that and that, that and that, this and that. There's all these. So talk us through in terms of, I guess, like sequential easy wins for people when they're going out there in terms of what's going to improve their aerodynamics. The first thing we talked about was close fitting clothing, wasn't it? And it sounds obvious, right?
It does, and that's what's coming into the sport now. Like in cycling, we've been wind tunnel testing for years, but now it's translating into triathlon. Like the clothing that people are wearing. Obviously, one of the big factors that's coming into the sport is years ago everybody used to wear short sleeve, which was like, you're giving away loads of time there.
So those triathletes cut off at the shoulders, or a vest top, or like the classic triathlete's tri-suit. How much kind of in terms of power would you give away over a speed suit?
That's the thing, like skin suits and tri-suits, there's probably, you're probably losing like between 20 and 30 watts between a great fitting suit that's been designed in the wind tunnel, developed, to like a bog standard sleeveless suit, which is, like over an Ironman distance, we're talking some serious time that we're going to reduce. And most people have said, oh, no, that's not possible. Tell you now, going to the wind tunnel, we've measured this so many times that, always try and buy the best clothing that you can. That's a big win-win. You can spend thousands on wheels, frame sets, but clothing is a big area. The manufacturers are grasping onto this. Clothing's only going to improve. It's like now teams, cycling teams are spending hundreds of thousands to, find 1 or 2 watts. But in triathlon, we, start putting sleeves on it, some trips on it, and that's dramatically going to reduce that drag.
Well,
So
one of the things that was interesting at Outlaw Half was obviously relatively early season race. It's sort of mid-May for people who might be listening later on. Quite chilly on race day morning. So I reckon 10% of the field was wearing something over the top of their tri-suit, whether that's a cycling gilet, whether it's a long sleeve jersey, whether it was a rain jacket in a lot of instances. How much is somebody giving away putting a jersey like that on over the
2
top
to
of it?
3 mile, probably 2 to 3 mile an hour.
Wow.
It's a hell of a lot. And there is a time, obviously, when it's freezing that you want to wrap up. But yesterday, as soon as you get moving, it's always cold when you get out of the water. But clothing like a long sleeve top compared to a skin suit, 2 or 3 miles an hour. It's crazy. Like if you're wearing a rain cape, then wow, you're going to be giving away a lot. So but it's all these little bits that potentially you're going to see those bike times plummet. So clothing, body position.
Clothing, but we'll come to body position in a bit for sure. In terms of helmets, getting a correct fitting aero helmet on somebody as opposed to them just riding in a normal road helmet. What sort of gains is that going to give somebody?
Again, depending on the individual, if they're riding like they just ride an open vented helmet compared to like an aero helmet, then again we could see another 20 watts there.
Wow.
It's phenomenal. Like the gains that you can make just in helmet and tri-suit, aero tri-suit. But again, when it comes to optimizing a helmet, there isn't such a thing as a fastest helmet out there. It's very much you need it to individualize to you. And we've got a pretty good eye in terms of doing a bike fit and then fitting a helmet on somebody and saying, well, I'd suggest that these are the 2-3 options that you potentially look at. But that's when the wind tunnel just come into its own, really. Same with clothing, like when you're looking at the top end stuff, because what works for one might not necessarily always work for the other, especially if it's got like a trip design on it. But when we do a bike fit, I'm pretty confident that we're going to get you, we do the bike fit, but then we're going to get you in an helmet that's going to fit you. And a lot of people, honestly, they buy these helmets, they're not even fitting them correctly. You've got like rot locks in there, you've got visors, and it's understanding how to get that to fit to your body. So again, that's something that we always look at within a bike fit. It's not just like, here's your biomechanics, here's your aero, go away. We look at all these little bits. And again, you understand how to hold that.
Okay, guys, I'm just going to interrupt us here for a quick word from our sponsors. First up, precisionhydration.com. Now, if you've not had one of their online sweat tests yet, get over to precisionhydration.com, answer a few questions, and that'll give you a lead as to whether you're a particularly salty or particularly heavy sweater. If you're either of those things, you really need to take care of your electrolyte intake. Now, these guys make different strengths, so if you're a very heavy sweater or a very salty sweater, you can take up to 1,500 milligrams of sodium in one of their sachets. That's something like 6 times stronger than the average sport drink. So for someone like me, who it turns out is an extremely salty sweater and really struggled with cramps and feeling really sick after races in hot weather, it makes a massive, massive difference. And I really highly recommend going over and checking it out. You can use the code Oxygenaddict to get $9.99's worth of free pH over there. Next up, we've got foodcell.co.uk. They make a fantastic top tube nutritional carrier. It bolts to the top of your top tube if you've got one of the new time trial bikes that's got bolts on. If not, it attaches with really smart little Velcro fasteners. Now, the key with this is most of those top tube nutritional carriers are too small to get anything meaningful into, and also they're extremely difficult to get something into and out of as you're traveling. So they've solved this in 2 ways. First up, they've got a brilliant, clever sliding mechanism. It means you can open it and close it with one hand as you're riding. You can even do it in the aero bars still. So I'm loving this for going out on these long time trials I'm doing at the moment. You can fit 4 of those big fat gels inside, or a couple of pieces of flapjack. You can even get your spares kit inside it. It's tested. in not actually in the wind tunnel, but aerodynamically, or what do they call it when they do that computer designed simulation of wind tunnel testing, to be actually faster on some of the new time trial bikes, and there's nothing there at all. So no worries about a big flappy bag sticking out into the wind. These things are absolutely awesome, right? So get yourself over to foodsell.co.uk and you can get free delivery worldwide with the code FREEPOST. Lastly, teamoxygenaddict.com triathlon coaching. If you're looking to get any coaching to help you out this season or even next, we've got a fantastic offer for you. If you sign up for an annual year-long contract for triathlon coaching, instead of just being for a year, we're going to extend it all the way to September of 2020. So you're going to get 2 summers worth of coaching, 2 summers race seasons of coaching for the price of one. So anyone who signs up during June, that's going to get extended all the way through to the end of September 2020. We've only got 3 places left on this offer, so get on that over at teamoxygenaddict.com. All those links are in the show notes. Here we go, back over to Matt with more pearls of wisdom on bike fitting. So there's equipment stuff kind of covered off. Let's go on to body position next then, because that was the thing for me, that you made some small tweaks to my bike handlebar angle, and all of a sudden I got back on and just went, oh, like that's what I've been looking for. It was like getting into a comfortable pair of shoes.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing, like everybody goes out, you buy your bike, it comes with a set of extensions, like the pole extensions, and it'll come with a set of handlebar cups. But the problem that you have is that everybody's body shape is so different. Some people can't lower the head. Some people, they can't rotate the shoulders. Some people have got wide shoulders. Some people narrow shoulders. So everyone's going to need a different pole angle. And that's what we were able to do with you was we were able to, we assessed you initially. So we looked at what you could do biomechanically, like your body composition, how you could rotate your shoulders. Have you got any niggles in your shoulders? And then we morphed you into the bike. But that came through, like changing the angle. You were quite lucky in the fact that we didn't have to change out the pole angle. We were able to rotate the cockpit, the tri-bars. You had the flat base bar, and then we were able to angle the poles. And all that did there was it gave you the rotation in the shoulders. So we were able to narrow the shoulders, and we were able to lower the head. So ultimately then, that gets you into that more aero position, but it also makes you a lot more comfortable because you haven't got the pain in your shoulders from bracing all the strain. Like we see it a lot where athletes have got like the flat poles, like Fabian Cancellara used to ride.
Yeah.
And that was amazing, but that was like a time when, Cancellara at the top of the sport, bikes were getting transformed. They were looking like Formula One race cars. And they put like these flat poles on, but like Cancellara was like riding time trials at like 480 to 500 watts. So for him, they worked. But for most people, those flat poles are like the worst thing. People get wrist pain, they get shoulder pain because they're just bracing all the weight through the body. So yeah, by getting the correct angle of pole, and everyone can do this. You can play around with it in the mirror. You can get a bike fit, and if somebody really knows what they're doing, then they're able to set you up with the correct pole angle, and then get the narrowing of the shoulders there.
But the thing that really surprised me was I thought I knew what I was doing. I played with my position quite a bit over the years, and then you kind of looked at me. It was one of those. I've made a joke with you before about this, about how like that guy in the Matrix can see all the green numbers on the screen, but he can see what's going on. It was like you looked at people differently and you were like, no, just a minute, wait there. I'll just do this and this and this. And all of a sudden, by changing the angle, it wasn't even like we needed a second go at it. I went straight back in and I could feel immediately my shoulders were completely relaxed, but they were much narrower than they were before.
Yeah.
But I just kind of sat in that. Like everything supported itself on my elbow cups all of a sudden.
No, definitely. And that's because, like what we're able to do is like there's myself and George Fox, who does a lot of our fitting, is you have to become the athlete. And that's how we do it. It's we're not using high. We have at the minute we haven't got motion capture, but we're something that we are investing in at the minute. But it's just like getting the athlete to understand how to hold that position, and it's simple. You just say, we make the change to the bar, they go into it, they can't quite hold it right. Now can you push in? Can you pull on the poles? Can you push into the pads? Can you drop the head? And all of a sudden you can see what they do, and then it's like, okay, they can't do this now, but if we do one drill, so it might be that initially we work on hand position, that they fall into that position. You're like, wow, yeah, I can hold that. The pain out of my shoulders are gone. Like for you, we didn't have to change it where we put angled shims in, which take a lot of the stress out of the shoulders. We were able to angle the tri bars, and people will be able to see that through, the pictures that you'll post up. But that's one of the great things is putting angled shims in takes the pressure out of the shoulders. It then allows the cup to fully support the shoulder, which takes a lot of pain out there, which is, it's great. Ultimately, it's going to mean when you come out of the swim, I've never felt pain like it. The pain that I felt from swimming in my shoulders was relentless. And but that's one of the things these angled shims and poles allow you to do, is to take that pain away. So once you get that bit right, then we can start working on hand position, and then we can go into like changing pole. We can then go into changing pads. Like we do, like it's a lot of people are changing now. That's one of the things I did notice at Outlaw was people are like, they're getting wise. In the UK, there's nobody else where you could get all these different parts to make your bike and your position to how you need it to be. So pad position is, and it's not always narrow. It's good for everybody, and that's why we're measuring shoulders. We're taking all these different angles to understand how do we make that narrowing, and and the length that we're also going to take with the poles as well.
Yeah.
So poles are, you can pick up a set of poles for like £45. If you haven't, so it's not like you've got to go out and spend thousands. It's a simple fix.
It's a relatively small investment of cash for a massive comfort fix, isn't it?
Yeah, but then also having and I suppose that's the great thing for us. Like, obviously, like when we take, some people look mortified when we're like ripping all the cables out with its Di2 mechanical. But that's just like, we've got the confidence to be able to do that. Like drilling parts, and it's not for everybody, but that's what we're able to do within our bike fit. And most bike fitters aren't doing that, because I'm not going to lie to you, if you don't want to know what you're doing, you could be there all day.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, we can transform somebody in about 2 to 3 hours.
Well, the thing that amazed me, your bike fitting studio is like a little Aladdin's cave. So you've got like this whole selection of, well, first up, loads of different aero helmets to try on, and it's that thing like, here's what you look like in this one, here's what you look like in this one, look how that one fits your back, but it doesn't fit. Like in our case, my friend Andy came down and he had a fit done as well, so that was a real good contrast, that what fit me really well didn't fit him and vice versa. So that was a real great example of two people being completely different body shapes and different helmets fitting him really, really well. Similarly, the pads he had on his bike, they were tiny, weren't they? They were tiny little arm cups. And the minute you put the different ones on, so you've got a different selection of arm cup pads to try out. The minute they went on, he was just like, oh yeah, these are great. This is completely different. And without having the option to try that, if you just come in and like, and I'm as guilty as anyone, you just buy stuff off the internet because it looks nice without trying it, right?
Yeah, and that's where most people go wrong. You can market the hell out of something, and there's loads of companies out there doing it at the minute. But you can buy the product, but if you don't know how to use it, or you put it in the wrong position, then you're wasting your money ultimately. Like there's no magic in a set of high-sided pads, for example. But if you put them in the right position, then generally you're going to get 8 to 10 watts, which is a massive transformation, for somebody. But one of the things that we've been able to do is, we've done this for a long time now. You almost like, you're trying to cheat speed, trying to find speed for free. Well, you've got to buy the parts, but but you're trying to morph the body into position that it doesn't want to get in, but you're relieving the pain. Like years ago, anyone sees pictures of me, I had a grimace on my face, and it looks like I'm in pain from, just trying. That wasn't pain from trying. It was trying to squeeze my shoulders in and hold my head. If I'd done it right the next day, I was in agony. But like now, what we're able to do is, we've got all these pads, shims that have, transform, like the transforming position. But ultimately, they're just making it a lot easier. So, but yeah, it's good.
We've always said on the podcast, when it kind of gets to springtime and people move from training indoors to taking the tri bike outdoors or the TT bike outdoors, like, look, there's going to be 2 or 3 rides where you go out and after 5 or 10 miles, you go, I just can't do this. I can't see where I'm going up the road. My shoulders hurt, my neck hurts. It's like the first couple of rides, there's a fitness aspect of just being able to just ride in the aero position before you even try and put any power out. You've just got to get used to being in that position, haven't you?
Definitely, and that's one of the things that some athletes, they hate me because I'm always like, right, you're going to go out and you're going to ride your aero helmet, and they're like, what do you mean I've got to ride? I can't do that. Everyone will laugh at me, and I'm like, but you're going to race in like 2-3 weeks time. I want you to do it might be 2-3 rides. I want you to get your aero helmet on, but that's it's of course it's going to make them fast on the training ride, but it's just to get them used to it, because once you start getting visors, and it's quite claustrophobic in there, and like how you see, like you might have done all these aero drills all winter, but once you get out on the road and you're traveling at speed, it's going to feel totally different. But then that's one of the things that a lot of people, you need to do is, right, get your bike fit done, but then you've got to transform that onto the road, because it's like, whether it's an aero test in the wind tunnel or on the track, if you do not know how that feels on the road, you'll never utilize it. And we all, if you've done a lot of this aero work, then you're going to be obsessed with what's my drag coefficient, what's my CDA, and you might go to the wind tunnel. Like for most triathletes, where we're realistically trying to get to. If we can get down to like 0.2, if we get below that, phenomenal. But if you get that number in the wind tunnel or on the track, and then it's not translating into the road, well, that's just a sign that you're not holding your position. So you've got to put that into practice. And relatively speaking, it's probably going to take 6 to 8 weeks to make that transformation if you do it correctly.
Yeah. Again, the parallel here, I think you kind of singing to the choir here with triathletes, because they do this with swimming already. They know that drills are going to improve their swim stroke. They get made to do drills every week by their coach to improve their swim stroke, and they know it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks to bed in. We've never been told before you need to do drills to hold your position in an aerodynamic way on the bike. And if your position is comfy without needing to do those drills, you're probably giving something away with your position.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got to do that. Yeah, you've got to do that. And that's where we're, like for us, that's what we're a specialist in, and, we work, different people come to us. They might have the coaches and everything else, but we can help, like them go away and then they can implement those drills. So we always give a report, and it can be like, do these drills in training, and that's going to enable you to get faster. Yeah. And that's the key to it. Don't, the training will bring you X amount, but you can short course, especially if you've done this for a long time and you're like, yeah, I'm still traveling at 20 miles an hour, I'm still traveling at 21, whatever that speed is, or you've got an obsession with time, then really, relatively speaking, it's like, okay, you need X amount of watts to get faster. Where's that going to come from? And if you're in your 40s and 50s and you've done this for a long time, I'm telling you now, you're not going to all of a sudden, unless if you're untrained, but if you're relatively fit, you're not just going to find like 20 or 30 watts. But if you've never looked at your position, which as we can see, and I'm going to more and more triathlon races, a lot of triathletes haven't, then you could be older and getting faster.
Yeah, right. So I came back, I was really inspired. I got on the turbo, and the first few rides that I did, I was like, okay, here's my drill set. I'm going to do these like a drill set, a minute on, a minute off, just like you said to do. And what amazed me was how hard it was riding at zone 2 watts, trying to hold the position, because it's really stressful, isn't it? The first few times you get down into that position, it's physically challenging just to get your hands high, your head down, get the tuck, the turtleneck thing, without even trying to put any power down.
Definitely. And that's where, like relatively speaking, that's where you want to start, like small, like minutes, or doing like a drill that we call a 20-40 drill, where it's 20 seconds full gas, you hold the position and then 40 off. And you can do like blocks, relatively speaking, even like 5 minutes of doing that. And you say you did that over an hour and you put like four of those 5 minutes into an hour block, then you just got to get that muscle memory and that adaptation, and it will soon come. Do you know what I mean? Once you start that, that's when you can start building the power up, and that's when we can be saying, right, do your threshold intervals, do your, like your long endurance ride, do 20 minutes in that position, and that's one of the biggest things that I build up over time. Like through a training program, that you build those sections up. And what goes wrong is people do it and they'll come to the end of the year and then they leave it again. Do you know what I mean? But you've always got to build those drills, and it's like your bike fit. Don't just get a bike fit once. You've got to revisit it, because hopefully you can find a bit more. Because if you're coming in, you cannot do everything in one fit. You can do a lot, and that's where the big gains are. But then the marginal, the next marginal gains will come from revisiting things. I've done this so much, and I'm still trying to find I'm going to the winter on this Thursday, just to try and find is it 1 or 2 watts there? We always want more.
Well, let's talk about some of the athletes that you've worked with over the past couple of years then, and the differences that we've seen to them. We've already talked quite a lot about Will. Obviously, you worked with Tim, and he's made this amazing comeback, hasn't he, after his crash? And he was in my mind actually as I was training and thinking, the guy's broken his neck. How is he getting his head down into this position? And
that was what was quite funny. Like we joked about this, because I'll never forget it. It was like we had Tim obviously had the halo, and we had this 4-way Skype. So there's his manager, there's me, and then there's Julie. And literally, it must have been hours after he'd come back from the hospital. He sits on his. It was his road bike at the time. He had like this sit up and beg handlebar stand, and he dropped his hands on it because, look, I can still do the shrug. His head was lopsided, but he could still do the shrug. He was like, oh, I know I can ride now, I'll be fine. But it was hard, trying to get him back into position. We had to do a lot of work on the road bike, and we were able to get him back on the road bike, then back onto the TT bike, and that it wasn't too hard for that. There was just a lot of issues going off with his neck and everything else that we had to work on. So, but it's Tim's transformation from when I met him to where he's at. Like, I'm not going to lie, Tim's probably got one of the best CDAs in the world. But that was what was, like when I first started working with him, I remember one of the things that I said to him was, man, what have you been doing for all this time? And he was like, well, obviously he's got all these great results. And I'm like, yeah, but, you've not broke Ironman yet. You've won Mallorca. I was like, man, we can go so much quicker. And he was like, well, yeah, really? And then obviously we've seen that, breaking the Ironman world record. But Tim's just brought into the process. He believes in, he has lots of questions, but providing I can give him the correct answers, he follows them. And, at the age of 41, still wanting to go out there and smash yourself. And, he's always asking me, I must get a message every day from Tim, like, oh, have you, what's the next game? What else can I do? And that's inspiring for me, because I love, I love being asked questions and, going out there and thinking, can we do this? What else can we do? And that's what you always want to do, isn't it? Like with the athletes that you're working with, you want to give them that next, that next marginal gain. So yeah, Tim's been a revolution, and yeah, I think he'll carry on for a while yet. So I hope he does anyway.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good. I love it.
In terms of his recovery from his crash, are things getting better and better with that? I'm sure it's a complicated road back.
Yeah, definitely. It's just a shame at South Africa that he had that mechanical because, he was in great shape going into that race. We'd done all the right training. He was definitely on his way back, but it was just unfortunate. But I do, I think we're going to have a good year. He's already raced. He's won a couple of races, and it's getting harder because we're getting older. But he's still, I believe that he can have a good year this year.
Nice. And then how proud were you when you saw Lucy Charles and her transformation when she was riding out in Kona, and the kind of bike position that she was in compared to how she used to be?
Oh yeah, like seeing Lucy's transformation in the sport was phenomenal. Obviously she got second at Kona the previous year, and I remember watching it on TV thinking, "Wow, she could ride so much quicker. What's this girl doing?" And then, obviously working with Lucy last year was phenomenal. Seeing that transformation on a bike, seeing all those splits it was phenomenal. And then coming into Kona and seeing her get second, like, let's not take it away. Like Daniela Reef's time was phenomenal, but Lucy Charles that was like the second. Yeah, that was apart from Daniela's, that was the fastest bike split that's ever been ridden. So it's a great transformation. So it'd be interesting to see how she does now. She's not working with me, so we'll have to see. She decided to do her own thing, so we'll see.
And we've just had Susie Cheetham on. She's obviously on her.
Oh, Susie! Oh, you've just been speaking to Susie.
We interviewed her last week. She's been on this week's show that's just going out. So I think she's just raced Challenge Lisbon this weekend, and I think she stepped on something and messed her foot up, didn't she?
Glass. What the chances? I can't believe it. She goes into this massive lake and she doesn't stand on a glass bottle. But I always joke with Susie because I'm not just saying, she's like my A-star student. You look at like Susie Cheetham, and we always laugh about this because before we got the unit, I met Susie. She came to my house, and we did she was on like this P5X, and I didn't have a bike stand because disc brakes had only just come out at that time. I used to just do anyone that knew me before the unit, we just used to do it in I call it a man cave. It was glorified summer house. But we didn't have this stand, so I had to prop her up against this fence that I've got at the bottom of my garden, and do this bike fit on her. But it's probably one of the best. It was an amazing bike fit, but she just took it on board, and phenomenal, and I love working with Susie. Me and Susie, we have some great banter, so. She's probably, again, like her position on the bike. If people look at her back, like when she did Ironman Brazil to where she is now, massive transformation. A key, that's probably one of the biggest things that you can see in head position, the difference between now and where it was. So, Susie, she's a great athlete. Love working with her. And, Let the banter continue because we always have plenty of it.
And you've already touched on Matt Hanson. Obviously, he had his amazing race out in Texas 2018, where he broke the standing world best there with that.
Yeah.
That again must have been another. You were watching that and going, the guy's ridden up to the front pack. He's ridden through the front pack. He's ridden off on his own. That's been an amazing transformation as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, he has. And Matt's just taking it on board. Again, another athlete the main difference with Matt was Matt is is a robot. I call him a robot. It's literally, I've cracked him twice in training. And when I did it, it was like the best feeling ever because it was like, yes, I've got him now. But he just couldn't translate power out on the road compared to what he could do, he could do on the turbo trainer. So, again, it was phenomenal just getting that understanding. And you've got to realise this has just been done over Skype calls, and because Matt's in the middle of nowhere in America. And just through Skype calls and then translating it onto the road. But just working with Julie, like I love working with her. Like Julie Dibbons, people just Google the lady, you know, she's phenomenal.
Legend of, I mean, I'm sure everyone listening in the UK has heard of Julie, but you and her you make quite a phenomenal triathlon coaching team, don't you?
Yeah, and the respect that we've got for each other and how we get each other, like her mentality and thinking is just so on par with mine. It's ridiculous. Like I never forget, like it was Tim Don that brought me and Julie together because, you know, I was coach. He'd left Julie, then he started working with me, and the synergy wasn't quite working. I was like, mate, there's a missing link here. We've got to do something. And then I always remember we had this guy, so he was like, right, I need to think about this, and went back to Julie, and she was open to working with me, and I was the same. And we had this Skype call, and then the conversations got quite heated through text. Like, I remember saying to me, "What do you think it takes to win Ironman?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Of course I know. I'd helped Timo Brack win it, but all she was she just wanted a list of my like a breakdown. And once that settled in, I was like, I've got to just make a list here. And then I went back to her, and our lists were like pretty much identical. And it took about 2 weeks, like back and forth with texts. But once like our whole concept was, we've got to do what's best for the athlete. We might have this, you're a coach, I'm a coach. We've got these different ideas, but we've got to bring them together and get the most out of Tim. And that's what we've been able to do, like Julie's, in my eyes, the best triathlon coach in the world. She's phenomenal. And, I help her out a lot with bike fitting and other athletes that she's got. And I'd be a bit lost without Julie, I have to admit. It's good to have that support where if, what it's like with coaching, like no person, some might say they've got all the ideas, but I tell you now, they haven't, but sometimes it's good to have that security there to say, oh yeah, I've got this idea. What do you think? And that's what we're able to do, really. And that's why we can get the results. And yeah, I love it. I love being in triathlon. I feel so grateful that I've met all these great people, and I'm doing my part. I'd love to do it more myself, but just time doesn't permit.
It's almost given you like a second lease of athletic life, hasn't it? In a way, as your time trialing career kind of, you brought that to a close. Then it was like, I remember seeing the passion in your eyes, going, "Now I've got a whole other sport I want to conquer."
Yeah, that was the thing. I came into triathlon like, it's like most age groupers. I want to get to Kona. That was my goal. But then I started doing it, and I was like, wow, this is kind of, there's a lot to do here. But I enjoyed, like the training process, and I got addicted to the training. And I've got an addictive personality. So as soon as I start something, it's like, oh yeah, I'll do this for a laugh. But then it's like, okay, then time starts to come into it. Then power starts to come into it. Then heart rate. And it's just like all these things. And then before you know it, I'm like, thinking, I went away from trying to win all the nationals. And now at that point where I'm breaking it all down again. And it takes a lot of commitment. And that's why I've got so much respect for people that do the sport, is just like the commitment that they put on themselves to compete is phenomenal. And I've got, like so much respect for everybody doing it. And and it's a standing joke. Like I do a lot of work with like the Lotto guys, and they're all telling me about the training. And then I'm like, yeah, but compared to triathlon, the overall load isn't that much. And it's quite funny because Victor Campenaerts, he was actually a triathlete before he turned into a cyclist. So he kind of gets it. So that's good.
I love it, man. So listen, last thing I want to ask you about, what's next for you, Matt Bottrill, the athlete? What have you got lined up outside of the bike fitting and the coaching of other athletes? The fire definitely burns within you, doesn't it?
Yeah, there is. And I have constant mental battles with myself, if I'm honest, that I know that I can never go back and ride like national championships. And I could go and I'd probably get potentially get top 10, top 20, but when I've been there and done it for such a long time, that's not for me now. There's like this World Age Group Masters that I would really like to do well in. The qualification for that is in a couple of weeks, so I'd like to go there and do well. But beyond, I don't know. I just want to enjoy it, and that's why I want to do. It's like doing the relays and just like stuff where there's not loads of pressure. You know, I started this year really well. I won like the Eddie Sowins, which is a big classic race in the UK. You know, it's like 21 years since I last won that event. So it's quite nice to do little bits like that. But ultimately, I kind of want to just enjoy it. I want to keep fit enough so I can always ride with my athletes and just ultimately just do everything that I can for them, because I made so many mistakes that I think that's my process now, is still being involved, and I'll do racing as and when I want to, but I've got to like lay the pressure off myself a little bit, because it's very hard when you've been so competitive. But ultimately, I just want as a coaching company just to succeed with what we're doing, and that's more glory than I've ever achieved in my own cycling career. To, not seeing people make the mistakes that I made, because I'm telling you now, there was lots of success, but there was more failings.
All right, man. So listen, if people have liked what they heard and they're interested in getting in touch either regarding coaching or bike fit for triathlon, where do they go to find out more?
Probably the best place is just go to the website. It's www.mattbottrillperformancecoaching.com. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter. If you want to see the pictures, the transformations, then follow us on Instagram. Just Google the name, and you'll see what we've been doing. Follow us on Facebook as well. We're always posting pictures. So if you need a bike date, I'm not just saying this; they fill pretty quick. June dates are already going, so we're booking into June and July now. So
get on it if you want to do well.
Definitely. Especially if you're thinking of getting to Kona and all these big key events, then get it done now, because it will take you 6 to 8 weeks to make that transformation.
Yeah, nice. All right, Matt. It's always really lovely to talk to you. Thanks very much, buddy. We'll speak to you again soon, I hope.
Yeah, it's always good to chat, Rob, and keep up the good work. Loving the show, and loving the work that you're doing yourself. So it's motivating. So good luck.
Cheers, buddy. You too. All right, there we go, guys. I hope you've got a huge amount from that podcast. I hope that you've managed to get, even if you just get one thing from that's going to help you slightly subtly change your position, but that might actually have a less than subtle effect on your speed, then that's an hour of your time well spent today. If you want to find out more, if you want to go down and see Matt for fit, which I highly recommend, check out over on the web, mattbottrillperformancecoaching.com. You can pop down to see him in his studio in Colville in England, and you get to try on all manner of different helmets and skin suits and different aero extensions. I loved it. If you're a bike geek like me, it's a couple of hours of your life that you are absolutely never going to regret spending, for sure. All right, then. That's it for this week. Next week, we're back to usual with me and Hells. We'll be discussing the recent race results. And until then, a shout out again to our sponsors, precisionhydration.com, foodsell.co.uk, and teamoxygenaddict.com. I hope you have a great, safe training and racing week. And until next week, we shall speak to you all again soon. Cheers, everyone. See ya.